Okay, well, welcome everyone to the Tuesday, February 8th City Commission meeting. Let's start with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, we do not have a consent agenda tonight, so our first item of business is to consider the minutes of the January 25th, 2022 meeting. Just need a motion.
I would move for approval.
I'll second that.
Okay, the motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. All right, second item of business tonight is to consider a request from Norm Oeding to use the parking lot at 121 East 6th Street for the Newton Farm and Art Market from May 1st, 2022 through October 31st of 2022. And Denise.
Yes, you have a request in your packet for the use of the farmer, or for the parking lot at 121 West East 6, sorry. And this is from Norm Oeding. He has the farm market and our Newton Farm and Art Market, and they would be having stuff on Tuesdays as well as Saturdays. And they have asked this request before, and we have granted that, and staff would recommend going ahead and approving that request.
Okay. All right, thank you.
I move that we approve that request.
I'll second.
Okay, there's a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Thank you. All right, our third item of business tonight is in regards to Park Aerospace, and Chris and Sarah Still will be joining us this evening for this conversation.
Yes, Mayor, thank you. And I can lead it off, and then I'll hand it off to Sarah. But as you mentioned, this is for Park Aerospace, and it's a continuation of a 2018 development agreement that the city entered into with Park. Part of that development agreement outlined the duties and responsibilities of the parties. Specifically, Park developed an expansion of approximately 90,000 square foot facility to their existing campus, and the city made a good faith intention to grant tax abatement. This is a constitutional tax abatement that Sarah will provide details on the process. We've got 3 steps here tonight, including a public hearing, considering a resolution, and also an ordinance. I'll just say on behalf of staff, we're really lucky to work with Sarah and Gilmore and Bell. They're just awesome. Whenever we run into problems, they always have good insight and expertise, and we're very thankful for them. So this is Sarah.
Thanks, Chris. Sarah Steele, Gilmore and Bell, out of Wichita. We're bond counsel to the city, and we're retained to work with the city on 2 items, actually, for Park Aerospace. As Chris mentioned, the development agreement that was considered in 2018 granted a property tax exemption of 10 years, 100% of the addition that has been constructed at their facility here. The other element was that they received a sales tax exemption on the materials that were used in construction of that addition. So today we're here for step number 1. They have opted to obtain a property tax exemption through a constitutional economic development exemption, which is allowed for cities and counties on certain types of businesses, specifically manufacturing or warehousing. And this is a manufacturer, so it does qualify. The first requirement is that you conduct a public hearing and accept comments from the public, if any, and then you would you would consider a resolution that makes certain findings, namely that they are a manufacturing entity. Then you can go to considering the ordinance granting the exemption, and this will be the final action necessary from this city commission on the property tax exemption. But as I mentioned earlier, they also had a sales tax exemption, so I'll be back with some industrial revenue bond documents that you're probably familiar with, and present those at a later meeting. So I'd be happy to answer any questions if you have them.
So what's the difference between a constitutional exemption and a normal change in tax?
The normal tax exemption with IRBs requires that bonds stay outstanding as long as you have the exemption. And for various reasons, namely the CFO, decided he didn't want bonds outstanding that long. And so the constitutional exemption is the only other method you can use to grant a property tax exemption. Those, again, are specifically just for manufacturing entities, and there's a number of other requirements, but Park Aerospace meets all those. And so you'll give the exemption through the Kansas Constitution. We'll issue bonds later, but they'll only stay outstanding for a short period of time. So that's the difference.
All right, well, we have a public hearing. Thank you, Sarah, for that. We have a public hearing to open up, so I will open up this public hearing at 7:06 PM. And if there's any individuals here who would like to speak, please step forward, state your name, address, and whatever comments you may have. Okay, with none, I will declare the public hearing closed and bring the discussion back to the bench. Are there any commissioners who have had any ex parte communications? Now is your time to disclose those.
Nope.
No.
All right, is there any discussion from the bench?
I just have a question. So that is tied to the Kansas Constitution? Because normally they're not. Is
That's-
that right?
That is correct. The
So-
IRBs are issued under a particular set of statutes. This is actually part of the Kansas Constitution. Oh gosh, Commissioner Valentine. I believe it's
1311?
is it 1311? Yeah, Article 13, Section 11 of the Kansas Constitution. And
Okay.
that gives you that authority.
Well, since you were mentioning, I mean, the word constitution, there just seemed like there has to be a tie somewhere to that, other than just what the normal process is. So now I'm at rest with that. Thank you.
Is there any additional exposure that the city has by using this method?
No, sir. In fact, there's probably less because those bonds won't remain outstanding. Although even with an industrial revenue bond, the city has no responsibility whatsoever, no liability, and you will never be asked to make any payments on this property. But under the constitutional abatement, your bonds will be retired pretty quickly, and this will just remain in place for the duration, provided that Park Aerospace uses the facility in the manner in which they currently are.
And I might add that the ordinance that Sarah drafted includes a tax incentive agreement, which requires those terms and calls for what happens if there's a breach and stopping the exemption. Is that fair?
Thank you. Yes.
Thank you.
So then do we need a resolution number?
We do.
Yes, that would be G-1273.
So I move to approve G-1273.
Second.
Okay, there's a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Thank you.
Ordinance number?
Ordinance?
Ordinance, Denise.
5067-22.
I move we approve ordinance 5067-22.
A second.
Okay, any discussion? All right, there's a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Thank you. Thank you for coming, Sarah, and explaining that for us tonight.
Thank you.
All right, item number 4 is to consider a grant agreement with the Kansas Department of Commerce Tourism Division to create walk and bike path maps. Rebecca?
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. So tonight, before you, we have a grant agreement with the Kansas Department of Tourism. This grant was applied for late summer. This was a need that has been seen in the community from the CVB, the Chamber of Commerce, the city itself, Walk and Roll Harvey, for a need to kind of use a interesting and interactive map to help support our bike and walking trails. And I'm just going to show you what we're actually looking at will be one of these Z-Fold products. That's what the estimate is in for your packet. They obviously make them in bicycle-sized maps. So this would be a promotional item. You've also seen it in some of the talks about our sesquicentennial planning because we plan to brand the front of it with that 150-year logo. The proposal was to create 20,000 of these, and the estimated, those are of course estimated numbers because this is just our cost estimates for the grant proposal, would also allow for $750 of design work by the firm as well. I did have a question about what if we had updated numbers, and I was able to email the company, and they will still hold and have updated our quote to the original numbers. So I can provide you a copy of that email if you wish. But that is what we are doing currently. The actual design has not been done. Today, what you have before you is just to approve this agreement and let us begin working on the project.
Okay.
I would make that motion.
All right, we have a motion. Is there a second?
I second.
Okay, there's a motion and a second. Any discussion? All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rebecca.
Thank you.
That'll be neat. All right, item number 5 is in regards to Planning Commission items. Suzanne, you'll be taking this. The first one, receive the recommendation of the Planning Commission for a final plat for the Interurban Second Edition.
Yes, Commissioners, the Interurban Second Edition plat is at the corner of West First and Sharps Drive. And this, if you recall, is where Harvest Point, the Mennonite housing development, is going to be moving forward. Here's a copy of the final plat shown on the screen. This went before Planning Commission last night. They approved it unanimously, and so now it comes to you for approval. This is the next step in their development plan, is to get the plat approved so that they can move forward with utility extensions and then pulling building permits at some point here in the near future.
Okay, we'll need a motion to receive this first, if there is one.
I move we receive the recommendation from the Planning Commission for the for the final plat.
I'll second that.
Okay, there's a motion and a second. Any discussion? All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. And the second item, item B, is to consider approval of the final plat for Interurban Second Edition. Anything else we need from you on that, Suzanne?
No,
No,
I'm
okay.
sorry, same
That's
thing.
fine.
Same
Oh, we
deal.
were just considering
No,
the approval of the final plat. Okay, but I think Rod was getting ready to make a motion. so-
I was.
'Kay.
I would move that we approve the final plat.
I'll second.
Okay, there's a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Okay, thank you.
you.
All right, item number 6, Planning Commission and a special use permit. Suzanne, the first item is to receive the recommendation of the Planning Commission regarding a special use permit for property located at 316 North Oak.
Yes, Commissioners, this is property, 316 North Oak is the old health department, kind of north of the fire station number 2. And this property is in what's considered a special use development, so special use permit was issued when it was constructed instead of a plat. And in this scenario, everything is approved as it was originally, and if they have to make any changes to it, even if it's just interior, which in this case is what the applicant is wanting to do, it has to come back before you for approval. They are just changing some interior and updating some of the interior of the building, and this was taken to the Planning Commission last night, and they also approved this request unanimously, and we would ask that you would do the same this evening so that they could move forward with their plans to improve the building.
I've always thought of special use permits as more temporary. At least it seems like we,
It's indefinite, so long as they continue the use, there's no breach and it's not revoked
okay.
per our zoning ordinance. I don't believe there's any time limitation on it, and I believe it would extend.
Correct. Now, if the building sold and became a different use, that expires. They would have to either come back and ask you for a new special use or plat it or go through the
okay.
normal process.
Okay, so because it wasn't platted,
Right, because
That
it is
was-
currently a special use. They just had to make the interior changes, so.
okay, all right.
Do you remember what the maximum capacity will be now once they renovate it?
Currently, it's the 6 to 15. I don't remember where it's headed.
I think it's still limited group residence. So, I mean,
I don't think anything changes in it.
I think in capacity would be different than the number of people that can, I guess, live in the facility, occupy the facility.
Right, so the special use that is the use of the building, not the
Right.
walls of the building. It's how they're using the inside.
Depending on the zoning classification and the number of people that would live there, whether it's a limited group residence or a general group residence. General group residence, I believe, is over 15, and limited is, I think, whatever, 9.
6 to 15.
Right. So it just depends on the zoning district and the
Basically, they just want to have more space to accommodate the existing.
Same number, just improving the space inside.
Yep. Okay.
Well, if there's any more discussion, we can have that. If not, we'll receive the recommendation of the planning commission regarding the special use permit. We will need a motion for that.
I move that we accept the recommendation of the planning
you.
commission.
I'll second that.
Okay, there's a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. All right, and the second item on this is to consider the approval of the special use permit for 316 North Oak. We would take a motion if there is
I
one.
will so move to approve that.
Okay.
I will second.
All right, there's a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All right. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Thank you. All right, item number 7 is to consider a request to subordinate a $4,000 mortgage interest held by the city, and Chris will take that.
Set this up. So as you recall, just a couple of weeks ago, the city ended the Hope Home Repair project, but pursuant to the termination of that program, we still have a lot of projects that were approved, and with city staff still managing those debts remain outstanding. This is specific to a project that was approved in 2012. It's a $4,000 mortgage lien that the city has on the property. The homeowner is working to refinance that loan. The $4,000, again, is outstanding, interest-free, payable upon a transfer of the property. In order to complete that refinance, the lender is asking a subordination, which basically means our mortgage goes below priority of theirs. Right now, we're in the first position, the top position. If it were to be foreclosed on for any reason, we would be paid first. They're asking that we take a subordinated position. So it's really a policy call. There's no obligation. On one hand, it's a generous courtesy to the resident that's included a letter to you asking for this concession. On the other, there is no obligation. Those dollars will be recycled for obviously other programs when it is repaid. So it's really a policy argument on either side. And I'd stand for any questions on that. That's all I've got.
I understand.
So you said if they were foreclosed on,
If we're in the top position, you go through that, then we would be paid first in the top position, which we are now.
Right.
Now, going down, we're next
be
in
paid
line.
second.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
Exactly.
I heard you wrong.
I may have misspoke. I
Do
apologize.
you know if he's going to end up with any equity? Will he have equity in the property?
I'm not certain. I know that the new loan is for $25,000.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I wasn't sure that we could ask that question, but
Well, it's in the document that's in the packet under the subordination agreement. It says it's a $25,000 lien.
Yeah, it does. Last page, it's mentioned in there.
Well, I would, if there's no other discussion, then I would make the motion.
In the,
What's that? Okay. I would make the motion that we subordinate to the credit union on that so he can go ahead and pay
I'll
off some
second
of
that.
those.
All right, there's a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. All right, thank you, Chris.
Uh-huh.
All right, item number 8 is to discuss changing the meeting for the February 22nd, 2022 meeting. And since there's no one mentioned there, I guess I get to do it, right? So that is our sesquicentennial day. And I want to let you know that I have not practiced that word very much. It just comes natural. And we have festivities that evening, typically a meeting at 7. That's also when the event is beginning to wrap up. So I guess we just need to have a discussion if we want to move to an earlier time in the day, if we want to not have a meeting. I mean, I think our options are pretty much open, aren't they, as far as what we can do for that meeting?
Absolutely.
Is there business that will be forthcoming?
There is quite a bit of business already
Okay.
that we have pushed off to that meeting or that date because we just haven't been able to get the stuff in, but there's deadlines that we need to hit for that.
Sure. So we have an option to go earlier in the day. We could leave it at the time it is. If we wanted to, we could go later. I don't think anybody wants to stay later that night, but, and I know that I'll just point out that that's a professional day and I have the best boss in the whole world, who also happens to be here tonight, who would let me leave at noon, I bet, to come to a meeting if we did a lunch meeting or something like that. So
He came here just to hear you say that, too.
that's right. Yeah. What are some recommendations, I guess, from all of us? We'll need to plan this together and,
So the festivities end at 7 at the Meridian?
Between 7 and 7:30 is when they're going to wrap up. I believe they start about 4.
I think more.
You guys have a precedent for moving to a noon meeting. That seems to have worked well for you all in the past when we've had a conflict, but it's really, truly, you can pick a time, so.
So you said there's quite a bit on the agenda. Is that more than a noon meeting, longer, or, I mean, it's not that it's a
yeah.
bad deal, I just need to,
Yeah,
is that
for work
A
arrangements.
noon to 1:30, a noon to 2?
Yeah.
What are we looking at?
I see.
1?
It'll take an hour, I think, for sure.
Okay. I wasn't sure if that was a 1 o'clock or a 1 moment, please.
Yeah. Stand by.
She's
She's
looking
looking at the
list.
agenda, at the list, so. But we've had quite a bit of stuff that we've been working with either, different.
Provided Rod
Projects
and I
and
don't
people.
talk, how long is it?
She's very good at these estimations.
She
We usually
gets
have a
the
good-
over-under.
Yep, she usually wins.
I would say we're going to be an hour to hour and a half, don't you think?
I would agree with that. It'd be safer to go at 1:30, and then you could leave early.
Yeah.
what time does the stuff start there?
4.
4, okay.
We have some planning commission items, which are just, I think, housekeeping items, basically. And then there's another tax abatement possibly to discuss, amendment to a loan agreement possibly. We have some petitions.
Petitions coming.
We have some petitions that would be on that agenda. We have an agreement with Harvest Point. Let's see, the groundwater storage tank loan agreement, possibly. Another loan agreement with another entity, plus some planning commission, which are just some zoning amendments.
Well, I wouldn't mind noon just to kind of keep things consistent with what we've done before. But I'm completely available.
I'm
that
certainly
afternoon.
open to the noon meeting, noon to 1:30
I am
for
too.
me.
And I feel like if we go to, 1:30 or something, I don't want us to feel rushed either if we have items that need to be discussed. So I think earlier the better,
Just knowing what we're going to have to work with helps to plan ahead.
for sure. Yeah, thank you.
I would, do you need a motion or just an agreement?
If we could have a motion.
You will need a motion to move that.
I would make a motion that we move the Tuesday, February 22nd meeting from 7 PM to noon and have it stated as a noon to 1:30 meeting.
Second that.
All right, there's a motion, a second. Any discussion? All right, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed, same sign. Thank you. All right, citizens forum. Do we have anyone sign up?
Anyone?
Bueller?
We'll let you know. I think it's up to me if I want to let somebody be added to the agenda, so I probably should. Yes, Principal Caleb Smith from Newton High School, welcome to the podium.
Hello. We have a group that you've probably heard of. Many of you participated in our pie auction, but they're called the Sunshine Squad, with the goal of spreading positivity and recognition throughout the Newton community and our school district. And tonight, we have cookies and appreciation cards for every city worker except for the mayor, and including police department, fire department, maintenance workers, everybody. So our culinary class cooked the cookies, and Sunshine Squad funded it. And so just to show our appreciation, particularly with the snow recently and all that. So I just want to say thank you and appreciate all you do for our schools.
All right, well, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
They smelled wonderful when I walked through the school today.
I bet that was torture, smelling the cookies all day.
It was, and I thought, why didn't I become a culinary teacher? Not qualified. Yeah, all right, well, let's go around, and we'll start with Commissioner Stinnett.
Awesome. Well, as Caleb said, thank you to everybody that helped get the streets back in passable deal. I know it was rough, especially with the wind and the drifts that caught a lot of us off guard, getting into some of the parking lots and stuff. So thank you to everyone.
Okay, Kelly?
No, sir.
Welcome back.
Thank you.
Yeah, glad to have you here. Chris?
No, sir.
Suzanne?
Yes, I have a couple things, and since we're talking about snow response, I did want to mention, it was on my list for this evening, just to remind you, we do have a snow and ice route map that is on our website at newtonkansas.com that shows the priority routes that are cleaned in the by our crews throughout the community. We try to get within a few blocks of everybody's house, but we don't have the resources to clean all the residential streets, and there has been some discussion about that after this last event. Every event is different, whether it's snow, ice, combination of such, temperatures, those kinds of things. And so we do not clear residential streets. It's infrequent that we have an event that it's lingers on those residential streets, but our crews did start working at midnight, and they worked around the clock. We had two shifts of staff that were working 12-hour shifts beginning on Tuesday evening at midnight, and they take it very seriously. It is snow fighting, and they do a great job. And we don't want anybody to ever think that we're not trying to keep the community safe when they see that their residential street isn't cleared. But we just don't have enough trucks and people. And, salt is expensive as well. So I think they did a great job and just wanted to report to you. And if at some point in the future the City Commission wants us to consider residential streets, we would need to consider that in the budget process. Any questions about that?
Thank you for the reminders. We need to know
Yeah.
so that we can share that with those who ask those questions.
You bet. And then I'm trying to get the PBC, the Newton Public Building Commission, together on February 24th. I'm trying to see if I can get a quorum because we are going to be talking about ball fields, and we have plans that will be ready for us to put the project out to bid again, slightly smaller or slightly less improvements to try and stay within our budget. Remember, this goes to the PBC because the funding is through the PBC, not through all of the individual agencies. So that is coming, and I'll let you know how things go, but we're moving forward with that.
Okay, thank you. Donna?
That's it, thank you.
All right, Commissioner Valentine.
Thank you to our first responders for being here. Appreciate you and everything that you do. Keep our city safe. Watch out for us while we rest well at night. And for our staff, as I look at each one of you, I think about how well this commission is served by very qualified folks who are ready to answer and serve at the drop of a hat. And I know I am humbled by that and appreciate very much what you do for us. So appreciate it. Thank you.
Well, I just want to say, again, yeah, in relationship to the snow, I obviously had a few snow days from school, so I spent a little bit of time at my shop, and I just watched the city crews go back and forth throughout the day, and it was wonderful to see them working. And I did notice there was some comments on Facebook too, just about how thankful some people were that city crews stopped and helped. And, I think about that and think that's only 2 people that mentioned it, and I know that there are more. We saw it, and so we're thankful, Suzanne, if you could pass that along. Just, it does not go unnoticed, their work and their willingness to be out there, and I feel like they do it with such positive attitudes. It's hard to work midnight to noon and noon to midnight or whatever. I assume the 12-hour shifts or something. That's hard, and we're thankful for that. When most people get to stay home, they have to get out, and so we are thankful. And then the second thing is, as everyone knows, Todd Akers, longtime city employee, passed away unexpectedly, and he was a part of my church, so I'm privileged to be his friend, and did his service for his family, and it was just great to see the city employees there and just recognize that it's family. And I know for most of them, it left quite a hole. They had worked, I think just about everyone had worked with them for their full career at least.
Yes.
And so we were glad to be able to do that, but I know it meant a lot to the Akers family to have the city and city staff there and just for their support through that process. So I want to say thank you for that as well. With that, meeting is adjourned, and everyone enjoy the rest of this spring weather this week that I think we're having. So.